Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am pleased to present to you the story of Isis and Osiris. I will be your host, narrator, and puppeteer. The story of Isis and Osiris is about husband and wife, brother and sister, how they battled for rule of the great country Egypt against their evil brother, Seth. Now, in the days before Re had left the earth, the sun god, before he began to grow old, his wisdom told if the goddess Nut bore children, one of them would end his reign among men. So Re laid a curse upon Nut, that she should not be able to bear any child upon any day in the year. In distress, Nut went to Thoth, the thrice great god of wisdom, magic, and learning, Re's son. The curse once spoken could not be taken back, he knew that. So he went to the moon god, Khonsu, and challenged him to a drop contest. Thoth always won, and finally Khonsu gave up. Leaving Thoth to gather the light, he won. He made it to 5 extra days between the old year and the beginning of the new. However, Khonsu did not have enough light from the moon to shine throughout the month, so the 5 days could not be created. On the first day, Osiris was born, Nut's eldest. The second day, Horus the Elder was born, Nut's second son. Dark Seth was born on the third day. On the fourth, her daughter Isis first saw the light, and it's her second daughter Nephitis on the fifth. In this way, the curse of Re was both fulfilled and defeated, for the days in which the children of Nut were born belonged to no year. When Osiris has grown up, he married his sister Isis. Yay! A custom which the pharaohs of Egypt followed after. And Seth married Nephitis. For he, too being a god, could only marry a goddess. After Isis by a crowd to learn the secret name of Re, Osiris became sole ruler of Egypt, and reigned on earth as Re had done, amid his people fighting, killing, and eating each other. His sister discovered wheat and barley. Osiris taught him how to plant the seeds when the Nile had risen in the early inundation, and sunk again, leaving fresh, fertile mud over the fields, how to tend to water the crops, how to cut the corn while it was ripe, and how to thresh the grain on the threshing floors, dry it, and grind it into flour, and make it into bread. He showed them also how to plant vines and make the grapes into wine, and they already knew how to brew beer out of the barley. When the people of Egypt had learned to make bread and cut only the flesh of such animals as he had taught them were suitable, Osiris went on to teach them laws and to live peacefully, happily together. Some of these laws included, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not waste water, and thou shalt remember religious holidays. They delighted themselves in music and poetry. And as soon as each was filled with peace and plenty, Osiris went about travels around the world to bring blessing upon other nations. See, look, here's Egypt. And then he went all around the world. While he was away, he left Isis to rule over the land, which she did both wisely and well. But Seth, the evil one, envied Osiris and hated Isis. The more people loved and praised Osiris, the more Seth hated him. And the more good he did, the happier mankind got, the stronger Seth's desire grew to kill his brother and rule in his place. Isis, however, was so full of wisdom and so watchful that Seth made no attempt to seize the throne while she was watching over the land of Egypt. And when Osiris returned from his travels, Seth was first among them to welcome him back and kneel in reverence before the good god of Pharaoh Isis. Yet, he had made his plans, aided by 72 of his wicked friends, and also the evil queen of Ethiopia. Secretly, Seth obtained the exact measurements of the body of Osiris, and made a beautiful chest to be made that would only fit him. It was fashioned of the rarest and most costly woods. Then Seth gave a great feast in honor of Osiris. The other guests were the 72 conspirators. It was the greatest feast Egypt had ever seen. Seth laid a trap, and so the chest would belong to whomever fit inside. I will give this chest to whomever fits in most exactly, cried Seth. The 72 guests tried in vain, some too short, some too tall, fat, or thin. Let me see if I will fit this into this marvelous piece of work, said Osiris, and he laid himself down in the chest while all gathered around breathlessly. I fit exactly, and the chest is mine, cried Osiris. It is yours indeed, and shall be so forever, hissed Seth, as he banged on the lid. The desperate haste, seeing the conspirators, nailed it shut, and sealed every crack with molten lead, so that Osiris the man died in the chest, and his spirit went across the Nile into the Duat place of testing. But beyond it to Amenti, where those live forever who have lived well on earth, as Osiris had done. And passed the judgments in Duat, but he could not pass as yet. Seth and his companions took the chest which held the body of Osiris and cast it into the Nile. And Hapi the Nile god carried it out to the great green sea, where it was tossed for many days until it came to the shore of Phoenicia, near the city of Byblos. Here the waves cast into a tamarisk tree that grew on the shore, and the tree shot out branches and grew leaves and flowers to make a fit resting place for the body of the good god Osiris, and very soon that tree became famous throughout the land. Isis knew as soon as her husband was dead, though no one told her, and fled into the marshes of Delta carrying baby Horus with her. Let's go, baby Horus. Back and forth. She went to seek for the body of Osiris, and back and forth over the land of Egypt wandered Isis. But never a trace could she find on the chest in which lay the body of Osiris. Alas, she questioned the children who were playing by the riverside. And they once told her that a chest, as she described, floated past them in the swift stream and out into the great green sea, which is over yonder. Isis grew fond of the baby Dictys and made him immoral by burning away his mortal parts, while she flew round and round in the form of a swallow. But Queen Astarte had been watching her secretly, and rushed into the room upon seeing her baby on fire, breaking the magic. King Malakandar and Queen Astarte offered the richest gifts, but Osiris only wanted the great tamarisk pillar and what it contained. When the chest, which had become the coffin of Osiris, was given to her, Isis flung down on this terrible cry of sorrow. Ah! Then little Dictys died at the very sound. Isis ordered the chest to be placed on a ship which King Malakandar provided her and set out for Egypt. She came safely to Egypt after this, and hid the chest in the marshes of the Delta while she hastened to the floating island where Buto was guarding Horus. But chance as Seth came hunting wild boars with his dogs, hunted after his custom, since he loved the darkness in which evil things abound. By the light of the moon, he saw the chest of cedar wood inlaid with ebony and ivory with gold and silver, and recognized it. And it's like hatred and anger came upon him in a red cloud. He raged like a panther of the south. He tore open the chest, took the body of Osiris, and rent it into 14 pieces, which by his divine strength he scattered. He scattered up and down the pool, like the Nile, so that crocodiles might eat them. It is not possible to destroy the body of a god, cried Seth, yet I have done it. For I have destroyed Osiris! Ah, 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 ah. His laughter echoed through the land, and all heard it trembled and hid. When Isis traveled over the land, she was accompanied and guarded by 7 scorpions. Slowly, piece by piece, Isis recovered the fragments of Osiris. One piece only she now recovered, for it had been eaten by certain impious fishes. She gathered the pieces together, rejoined them by magic, and by magic made likeness to the missing member, so that Osiris is complete. But as Horus grew in the world, the spirit of Osiris visited him often, and taught him all that a great warrior should know, and who was to fight against Seth, both in the body and the spirit. One day Osiris said to the boy, "Tell me, what is the noblest thing a man can do?" And Horus answered, "To avenge his father and mother for all the evil done to them." This pleased Osiris, and he asked further, "And what animal is most useful for the avenger to take with him as he goes out to battle?" "A horse." Horus answered promptly, "Surely a lion would be better still?" "A lion would be indeed best for a man who needed help," replied Horus, "but a horse is best for pursuing a flying foe and cutting him off from escape." When he heard this, Osiris knew that the time had come for Horus to declare war on Seth, and bade him gather a great army. Stop. When he heard this, Osiris knew that the time had come for Horus to declare war on Seth, and made him gather a great army and sail up Nile to attack him in the great deserts of the south. Horus gathered his forces and prepared to begin the war. And Re himself, the shining father of the gods, came to his aid in his own divine boat that sails across the heavens and through the dangers of the underworld. Before that, they set sail. Re drew Horus aside to gaze into the blue eyes, for whoever looks into them, of gods or men, sees a future reflected there. But Seth was watching, and he took upon himself the form of a black pig. A black pig. Black as a thundercloud, fierce to look at, with tusks that strike tremor into the bravest heart. "Meanwhile," I said to Horus, "let me gaze into your eyes and see when this time could come a war." He gazed in the eyes of Horus, and their color was that of the great green sea and summer sky, from its deepest blue. But when he gazed at the black pig, passed by and distracted his attention, so that he exclaimed, "Look at that! Never have I seen such a huge and fierce a pig!" And Horus looked, and he did not know it was Seth, but thought it was a wild boar out of the thickest of the north, and he was not ready for a charm or a word of power to guard himself against the enemy. Then Seth aimed a blow at the eyes of Horus, and Horus shouted with pain, "Ah!" and to a great rage. He knew that was Seth, but Seth had gone in the instant and could not be trapped. Re caused Horus to be taken into a dark room. It was not long before his eyes could see again as clearly as before. When he was just discovered, Re had returned to the sky. Horus was filled with joy, and he could see once more. And he said to up to the Nile, at the head of this army, the country on either side, and its joy blossomed into spring. There's many battles in that war. The last and greatest was Edfu, where the great temple of Horus stands to this day in memory of islands in the rapids of the first cataract of the Nile. Seth, in the form of a red hippopotamus. Seth, in the form of a red hippopotamus. Seth, in the form of a red hippopotamus, came and gigantic size sprang to the island of Elephantine and uttered a great curse against Horus and Isis. "Let there come a terrible raging tempest and a mighty flood against my enemies!" he cried, and his voice was like a thunder rolling across the heavens from the south to the north. And once the storm broke over the boats and Horus and his army, the wind roared and the water was heaped into great waves. But Horus held on his way, his own bow, gleaming through the darkness, its prow shining like a ray of the sun. Opposite Edfu, Seth turned and stood at bay, straddling the whole stream of the Nile. So huge a red hippopotamus was he. But Horus upon the shape of a handsome young man, 12 feet in height. Seth opened his mighty jaw to destroy Horus and his followers when the storm should wreck their boats. Horus cast his harpoon, and it struck into the deep head of the great red hippopotamus, deep into his brain. And that one blow slew Seth and the great wicked one, the enemy of Osiris and the gods. The storm passed away, the flood sank, and the sky was clear blue once more. Then the people of Edfu came out to welcome Horus and the Avenger and lead him in triumph, over which the great temple now stands. And they sang the song of praise, which the priests chanted over afterwards. The yearly festival of Horus was held at Edfu. And so it comes about that Horus and Seth still contend with the souls of men and rule the world. There are no longer any battles, and now that was how Isis and Osiris defeated their evil brother Seth to rule over Egypt. Thank you for listening.